What is going on, everybody? It's Isaac Parks, Isaac Punts. Today we're going to be hitting you with little Coach Punts, and we're going to be talking about 5 things you should be doing if you're a punter to get recruited to play college football. Now, this goes for FBS, FCS, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, and anything else you could think of. These are the 5 things you absolutely need to be doing to get recruited, okay? Number 1, you need to be reaching out to schools that you want to go to. So this is super important because there's a lot of great punters out there in the world, and there's only so many schools. That being said, are there still more punters than there are schools to play at? Yes. Time and time again, we see schools having to throw their QBs out there to punt, having to throw their wide receivers out there to punt, having to throw DBs, outside linebackers, to punt because they don't have enough people punting. It's rare that you see this for kickers, but you definitely see it for punters. And why? Because you're not looking for schools that need punters. So when you find a school and you're doing your research and you see that they might not have a punter on roster or might not have a great punter or somebody that you think you can beat, it's super important that you take the initiative to reach out to that school and to that coach. 2, you need to be on Twitter. The number one way coaches right now are getting in contact with players is through Twitter. And I get it. Twitter is an absolute cesspool when it comes to everything else on that website. But guess what? For whatever reason, we athletes, coaches have made it a hot spot for recruiting. Every single day I see tons of posts from coaches. Drop your film below if you want to get looks. And guess what? It's filled with players who are dropping their film. Those guys are more likely to get looked at than a guy who doesn't have Twitter, who isn't out there promoting their stuff. Number 3, you need to have your GPA readily available in your Twitter bio. This is a huge thing for punters, okay? Coaches care heavily about the team GPA. And one thing that guys don't know is that your GPA can be a competitive advantage. So here's a little piece of personal experience from myself. When I was getting recruited out of high school, I was able to walk on, get a PWO offer, and honestly, I was pretty bad coming out of high school because I had a 4.5 GPA. Even if you don't have a 4.5 GPA, coaches are still going to be interested if you have a pretty high GPA because 2 reasons. A, there's a higher chance that you'll be able to bring the team GPA up. And B, if they're interested in you, there's a good chance that they can help you with other scholarships. And if they can get a punter on an academic scholarship and a PWO and save another scholarship for another kid, that is a huge advantage to these coaches because they never have to worry about giving up a scholarship spot to get a high level recruit. Number 4, you need to be taking much more rolling film. Highlights are great, but highlights really only matter when it comes to the games because coaches love to see what guys can do at the upper limit in an actual game-like situation, but the upper limit at practice is almost completely irrelevant. There are some guys that have really high upper limits, so they might get some more looks, but your average guy like me, like other people who are trying to get recruited, their upper limit at practice isn't so good that a single punt is going to get them noticed. What might be really good that they're not highlighting for themselves is how consistently they can hit their B plus ball or their A minus ball. A good way to get noticed is show off 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10 punts in a row. Keep the film going. Don't make it too long and bloated because you'll lose a coach's attention. As soon as they see that video is going to be 3.5, 4 minutes long, they're not going to watch the whole thing. But if they see a minute and a half, 80 seconds, 70 seconds of rolling film punts, throw in some directionals, throw in some hang times if you can clock it yourself, and definitely give them the distances. That's really what's going to get a coach's attention is repeatability and consistency with your form and your turnover spiral punt. I hate to say it, you need to be going to kicking coaches and kicking camps, at least one. If you want to get recruited nowadays, the easiest way is get plugged in with a kicking coaching camp. Now, For integrity purposes, I'm not even going to plug my own services here. Use anybody, because having any kicking coach is just one more person that's going to be in your corner with their ear to the ground looking for opportunities for you. Because there's a high likelihood that any one of these kicking coaches probably also went to college to play football. So at the very least, they could have teammates that are now coaching. They could know the coaches at their old school still, or those coaches, in a best case scenario, if that head coach gets fired, a lot of times those coaches will scatter to different schools and get picked up, which means he could know a coach at upwards of 5, 6, 7 different schools, which would be huge for you as the athlete who's potentially looking to get on a team somewhere. And it's even more so the case for some of these bigger name camps. I'm just going to list a few here, but Chris Saylor Kicking, Cole's Kicking, Kicking World all have big camps where those coaches are in tune with who else is needing punters. A lot of schools will go to those camps, especially camps like Punt Factory. They'll ask the coaches there for their short list of punters that are looking to get on teams in the upcoming season. So going to these, even if it's only a couple, even if it's only one or two, or getting plugged in with a local private coach, is a huge way that you can boost your chances of getting seen by a team or knowing a coach. Anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope this knowledge helped. And as always, have a good one. Peace.